In today's video, I will be sharing a tragic and deeply unsettling story. But before we dive into it, please note that this video is created purely for educational purposes. I mean no harm or disrespect to anyone involved in this case. All information shared here has been gathered from various sources. Please don't forget to like, comment, and share this video so it can reach more people. Our story revolves around a woman who was born in 1983. In 2012, she married a well-known psychiatrist, Dr. Rehitlhile Matjane. Together, they built a life and had 3 children, 2 sons and a baby girl. Mrs. Matjane was not only highly educated, but also deeply accomplished. She earned an MBA in Finance and Sustainability from the University of Cumbria in England through distance learning. Additionally, she held a national diploma in Engineering Computer Systems and a bachelor's degree in Information Systems and Technology from Tshwane University of Technology. Her academic achievements didn't stop there. She completed a program in business management at the University of South Africa and obtained an advanced certificate in business analysis from the University of Pretoria. Professionally, she worked alongside her husband in his psychiatric practice. Before that, she held prestigious roles, including Director of Justice and Constitutional Development and Specialist in Process Engineering and Business Analysis at the South African Revenue Service. Together, the couple owned multiple properties. By all outward appearances, they had a stable and happy marriage. They adored their children, who were also well loved by those around them, and attended prestigious schools. However, on the morning of April 17, 2015, everything changed. That morning, the couple had an argument. The dispute arose from a disagreement over modifications to the building plans of their new home, a project that Mrs. Matjane was managing. The stress of overseeing the construction weighed heavily on her. During the argument, Dr. Matjane made a remark that deeply upset her. He said, "I will build the house, but you will live there alone with the children." For a long time, Mrs. Matjane had suffered from severe migraine headaches. That day, her mood was different, more intense, more troubled. She later admitted that the thought of ending her own life crossed her mind. After dropping the children off at school, she returned home, but her husband was not there for breakfast as usual. When she called him, he told her he was at a building supply store. Later in the afternoon, she picked up her 2 sons from school. Alo, who was just 2 years old, sat in the front seat, while 6-year-old Kandra sat in the back. By that time, her suicidal thoughts had intensified. At some point, she retrieved her firearm from the safe. It was usually loaded with 5 bullets. She sat in her car, crying, holding the gun, contemplating her actions. Eventually, she decided against taking her own life, at least for the moment. Instead, she went for lunch, had a glass of red wine, and then proceeded to pick up the boys from school. Dr. Matjane later stated that in the days leading up to that tragic event, his wife had seemed moody and irritable due to her physical condition. However, he did not believe she had been clinically depressed before. What happened next is almost too painful to recount. Mrs. Matjane drove to a remote location near the Jueman Street Defense Force Base with her children. There, she did the unthinkable. She first shot little Alo in the side of his head. Kandra, seeing what had happened, tried to escape, but before he could get out of the car, she shot him twice, once in the forehead and once in the lower right arm. She was looking directly at them as she pulled the trigger. Afterward, she intended to take her own life. However, she realized that she had run out of bullets. In a state of panic, she ran to a nearby house, seeking help. She asked a woman to call her mother and her husband, even providing their phone numbers. When the police arrived at the scene, she ran toward a captain, begging him to shoot her. "I killed my children," she cried. "Please kill me too. I want to rest with my children." When asked why she had done it, she responded, "I have suffered for 12 years. I have struggled in my marriage for 12 years. Dr. Matjane arrived at the scene, and despite the horror of what had happened, spoke to his wife calmly. Shockingly, the very next day, he had the blood-stained car washed. According to an officer present, Mrs. Matjane spoke in a normal, coherent manner, which added to the complexity of the case. During the trial, She pleaded not guilty, claiming that she had no memory of shooting her children. She insisted that she had taken medication for a migraine and menstrual pain, and that, after taking the pills, she had experienced extreme suicidal thoughts. She attributed her actions to the effects of the medication. However, the judge rejected her defense.